If you want to progress in life, this is an actual fact and it's scientific. You need to lower the amount of thoughts that you have. You need to get your mind to shut up. The more that you can get your mind to shut up, the more that you can get yourself to progress. Thoughts are heavy, right? Our thoughts and our emotions, they're heavy on us. They're like we're carrying weights. So the more weight that we have, the more thoughts that we have, the more weight that we are carrying. And so less weight means easier to progress, less procrastination, less resistance, less doubts, less fears, less anxieties, and just go, 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 right? Does it make sense? And so we have to learn how to discover how to get the mind to shut up, right? So we have a character that we're playing out every day of our lives. We have been a part of this character. We have identified with being this character, this story of who I am here today. This is what I've experienced in the past, so this is who I am right now. And I can't be any different than I am right now. And this is what the brain says, right? And so that keeps you where you are. This is who I am. So you experience in reality who I am. Okay. So if you want to master your reality, this who I am needs to change the way that you are saying this is who I am. So let me give you an example. Someone gets into multiple relationships over the years and they've experienced, let's just say it's a woman, getting with the same type of man over and over and over again. Soon enough, she will start saying all men or men are bad. All men are bad because the men that she's choosing are bad. And it can happen the other way as well, right? I'm just giving you an example, right? Is that actually true? No, it's not true. It's not true that all men are bad, or it's just the men that she is choosing. So the mind in that moment is telling a story, is telling a narrative about men in general in this case. If someone had a hard time with money, let's just say it's a woman again, and she's having a hard time with money, she struggled with money in the past, and in the future, she wants to make more money. She wants to become more financially stable or successful, or maybe even financially free. But what she's experienced up until now is lack and poverty or struggle and frustration. If that's what she remembers, or if that's what's in her subconscious mind, that is who she is. And that is the character that she will continue to play out in this life. And that's what she'll continue to experience because that is what she's projecting through her subconscious, through how she identifies with herself. And so things don't change unless you change. And so all the stories and narratives about money or relationships or even your health, they need to change. And the way that you get them to change is to not actually make them change. I know that sounds a little bit contradictory, but essentially, you just leave them as they are. Your old self, who you think you are up until today, you need to RIP that. You need to put a line in the sand and rest in peace and make a decision that this old self is almost like dead to me. Now, we don't want to treat it as if it's dead. We don't want to treat your old self bad. We don't want to deny your old self. We don't want to hate on your old self. We don't want to discourage your old self. We don't want to push away your old self, right? We don't want to do any of this thing. We don't want to treat our old self bad. In fact, we want to have compassion and love and accept our old self. And if we don't do that, it's just going to fight back. It's just going to push back on you. And this is what a lot of personal development and spirituality pushes, is that you need to defeat the old self. You need to defeat the ego. You need to overcome the ego. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to have compassion towards it, that this is his story, this is your memory, and it's in you. It's there. It's there every day. And you might have this narrative and this internal dialogue and this negativity about who you are, who you've become, your failures and your successes and all of this stuff. But all of this is a lie. Right? This is all interpretation and perspective. And so I'm not saying to gaslight yourself. I'm saying to accept what has happened to you. I'm saying to realize that maybe you don't like the current job or the current career or the current business or the current relationship or whatever it is. Everything that you think about it up until now is a lie. Yeah, but Gavin, I'm in a relationship right now and, I don't like how he's treating me and whatever it is. True. And, I understand, like in relationships, we can experience these challenges and you start to perceive your partner in a certain way. Now, in some cases, that partner that you're with has been with someone else and the relationship was good, and that he was behaving or she was behaving differently in that relationship because of the energy that was involved in that relationship. Do you know what I mean? So there's an equation between two people and what manifests and versus what someone else manifests. Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about here, that sometimes we bring out certain traits in people and it's not necessarily who they are, it's just what you are seeing. And I can tell you countless times of working with one-to-one clients, uh, sharing with them, hey, how can you change and shift your story? And when the shift in the story changes, the other person seems to change. They feel more relaxed, they feel more comfortable. And yeah, this is a nuanced thing and not something that I think we need to dive into too much, but you can understand my point here. So, what is the little nuance with money? What is the little nuance with success? What is the little stories and narratives that you have about success that could potentially, that 1 millimeter shift, lead to an explosion in your income, getting more leads, more sales, getting a raise in your job, or whatever it is? And so, the key here is to just drop the story completely, right? And this is easier said than done, but essentially it comes down, when we really look at it, it's black and white. You make and decide, I'm not gonna listen to the old self. I'm not gonna deny it. I'm not gonna push it away. I'm not gonna treat it bad. I'm just not gonna listen to it. I'm not gonna give it so much attention. I'm not gonna give it my power. I'm not gonna give it my energy, right? And just allow it to be there fully. And that is the difficult part, just allowing it to be there without trying to change it or make it be different. It can be very agitating in the body to see this old self, this character playing itself out, being scared, being nervous, being whatever it is. But if you can hold that space of being present with it and just allowing it to do whatever it do, like a kid in the playground, just allow it to do whatever it do, right? Like a kid in the playground, eventually it doesn't have the power. Sometimes when a kid falls over and hurts himself or hurts herself, and you react in a positive way, they react in a positive way, right? There's a sense of like, oh no, you hurt yourself or whatever it is, and then the baby starts crying, right? Or the kid starts crying, should I say, right? So you see, in the same sense, presence is the adult, right? And your mind, ego, is the child. And how you um, uh, how can I say this? How you approach the situation or the thought is key. Are you seeing it as just a cloud passing by, or are you taking it seriously, needing it to move, needing it to be different? And that's where things begin to change, when you are able to just let it be there and let it pass by. And so essentially, we are practicing this thought awareness, seeing the thought, letting it be there, at the same time, not giving it any power. And then, third of all, living in presence, living in the new self, living in the highest frequency of all, enlightenment. And enlightenment's not somewhere where you get to. Presence is not somewhere where you get to. Pure consciousness is not somewhere where you get to. Samadhi, or any of these so-called high vibrational states, is not somewhere where you get to. The highest vibrational state of all is who you already are in this present moment. And I know that might sound a little bit strange because, Gavin, I don't feel high vibrational. Well, here's the thing. You were born enlightenment. You were born samadhi. You were born isness. You were born pure consciousness, Christ consciousness. You were born that way. It's who you already are. You just forgot. You learn thoughts, you learn language, and over time, you got beliefs and ideas and concepts on yourself. And so underneath all of your ideas, beliefs, concepts, limiting beliefs, subconscious programs, this block, procrastination, self-imposter syndrome, whatever, right? All of these things are lies. Underneath is the truth, and you can see all of it. And when you are understanding and remembering that you are presence itself and that you don't need to become it, there's nothing to chase, there's nothing to go after, there's nothing to manifest, right? Now you're operating on the level of mastery, and you've mastered your reality because you can see that you are not your thoughts, you are not necessarily your emotions. And now you can navigate this reality much better. So as you practice this more and more, the less thoughts you have, the more quiet the mind becomes, and the more you're able to shift into your ideal reality without doing like identity shifting, without doing um, these manifestation techniques. You will begin operating at the highest frequency and moving through reality in that way whilst practicing your spirituality. So you hit two birds with one stone. You're mastering reality itself, the external world and the internal world. By practicing presence, you're raising your spirituality, your spiritual sense, your spiritual awareness, your consciousness. But at the same time, you're able to navigate this world, you know, clear your debts and bills, and go up the career ladder, start your social media or whatever it is that you want to do, your company. You're able to move forward in presence because nothing can stop you once you practice being there uh, more consistently. And so if you want to continue this practice, links in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.